now, and this is the time when we do this exercise, I am going to want to hear from as many of you as possible because this is an important piece of your process. But whether you have a sheet of paper or you're just going to do this in your mind, it's really up to you. It doesn't matter to me. But this is an inner reflection and awareness exercise. And I want each of you to think about your parents' relationship to money / abundance, or your past relationship to money and abundance. Let's from 0 to now. What's it been like? I mean, did you come from a wealthy family? Were your parents penny pinchers? Were they always afraid? Were they free? I mean, where did you come from? And where are you now in relationship to that? That's the second piece. What do my current results tell me what I believe about abundance? So for instance, if you think you don't have enough or there's something missing, that tells you something. That tells you there's something in your core system that is not working for you. And then finally, what do I believe is possible? So take a couple of minutes. I'm going to be quiet and go through these questions and see what you come up with. So Rosemary's, oh, this is so true. I often feel or get anxious about paying a lot for things. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to address that, but I don't want to address it yet until some of other people have gotten through formulating their answers. I'm just going to briefly unmute the folks who are on the phone. Oh, there's only a couple of you. So 216, are you keeping up? Is there any questions you have? Nope, 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 okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Is it making sense to you?
It is, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Tracy.
Oh, hi.
Hello, it makes a lot of sense to me. I can so relate to the guests who spoke to being anxious when they spend a lot of money. I experience that a lot. I get nervous when I'm spending a lot of money, just not really comfortable with spending, even when I know it's things that I need.
Yes. Okay, great. I will absolutely address that.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. That's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. Good. So I'm going to mute that. Good. If you see me doodling around, I'm trying to manage the various rooms. I come from a background of scarcity of money, and that has plagued me throughout my life, regardless of where I am in life. Generally speaking, I feel stuck on this subject. Yeah. And okay, this is great. I think we're getting to what a lot of people deal with. So now Well, I'll address these two questions and then we'll go to what you believe is possible, because that's important too. So um, as we get into the course further, and we're going to work through these issues on a deeper level, because it's the process is getting it from the head. It's like I understand what's happening on an intellectual level, but how do I take in the answer and make it part of my system so that it can work in my life? That's the piece, and that's the piece of repetition, and that's the piece of saying things in different ways and different times so it finally breaks through the programming that we've had for a lifetime and that our parents brought to us as well, and let it really come into my system. So just know that some of this will be repetition. So in terms of getting anxious and paying a lot of things about paying for things, two things. We have to get in the habit of practicing getting out of anxiousness or worry or scarcity or the scared feelings. So just as when you're out, if you're playing sports or dancing or out and about, you injure yourself, you immediately stop and you attend to yourself. You do what it takes to get yourself in balance. You need some ice, you need to take a break, you exit from the game or whatever you're doing. You attend to yourself and get yourself right before you re-enter the game. And in life, in creative processes, we have to learn to do the same thing. You know, we in Western culture, certainly we're about suck it up, get back out there, you know, or stiff upper lip, you know, suck it up, get out there. But actually, if you're feeling anxious, scared, you have to sit with that and you have to do what it takes to surrender, get out of it. And I don't want to make it sound easy, because until you get a process that works for you, it may not be easy. It's like, how do I get out of that? Years ago, I think when I really started teaching this, I used to worry about money like nobody's business. I would worry before I had to worry. I'd pay my bills at the first of the month, and then I'd start worrying about next month. It's hilarious. I'm laughing now. I wasn't funny back then. And I was just like, what the hell am I doing? Well, I know that consuming these energies is not good for me. I know it already. Why am I doing this to myself? And so I literally sat there, and I'm taking off my glasses because this is what I did. Took my hand, and I literally smacked myself in the head. And I'm just like, I smacked myself in the head, but it's also a tool, because if we have a physical stimulus to grab our attention, it's more helpful. Like some people use the rubber band on the wrist or whatever to stimulate them. But I got my attention, and I sat there and I would just wrestle with myself.
N-am putut să-l bag unul între altul.
I know. Let me just mute. I would struggle with myself, and then I fought it out with myself until I finally said, I'm giving it up. Universe, do your worst. You know, I've made it this far in life. I'm going to continue to make it. It's going to be okay. And I just do not want to give up my personal peace, my personal sense of well-being for anything. I'm tired. I don't want to do it anymore. And so in that moment, I just kind of let it go. And I learned how to do that process. And that took me about 15, 20 minutes that first time. But what was remarkable about the experience is that the thing I had been worrying about before that, within 24, 48 hours, it resolved itself. And I said to myself, thank God I didn't worry about that for the last 2 damn days. Thank God. It's like, why am I going to torture myself, right? Why am I going to torture myself? So over time, I've learned different ways to get out of my head and get out of that reactive pattern. I've sourced where it came from, but ultimately I am choosing to align with a higher vibration and something that feels better. I don't want to be tortured. So in this anxiousness response pattern that many of us have, we have to learn how to get ourselves out of it before we put ourselves back in the game. We have to learn how to bring that anxiousness. And so it's different things like, one of my abundance teachers back in the day would say, I always put thank you, God, or thank you, or, I'm very happy to do this on my check when I pay my bills. And you want to get in the habit of honoring the flow of money when it goes out, because it's a circle of a sort. There's two sides of the coin. You have to honor it going out so you can honor it coming in. And, most of us, it comes in and we want to clamp down on it. Oh my God, I don't want to lose it. That's a cutoff of energy. So again, we start with the inner dialogue. We start with that inner narrative that's telling us we need to be anxious and concerned about it. And we have to fight our way through it. In the book, The Energy of Abundance, which any of you can have if you email me, there is a practice for how you get to surrender. But you have to learn that piece. How can I surrender to the moment? How can I let myself be free of this anxiousness? And sometimes it's more than what I just described to you. Because if you haven't done any self-awareness work or self-tracking work through therapy or any of that, some of it depends on how practiced you are at looking at your process and tracking your process. And but the sooner you can understand that you are giving up your power, that you are lowering your magnetism, and then you can start, the mind has something to work with. And you're like, well, this isn't in my best interest. It's kind of like, well, am I going to go drive my car into a wall? That's not in my best interest. I'm not going to be doing that. Am I going to pull all the hair out of my head? No, that's not in my best interest. And so once we convince the mind, that's the first step. And then the next piece is then how do I actually just let it go? And for me, it's always been working from the end back, that I just say, I've always been fine. I'm always going to be fine. That's what I'm going to think. That's where I'm going to live. And I'm just not going to worry about it. Why? So, and then what's interesting about this process that I'm telling you is once you do it the first time, you're going to get a result. And then, like any of us, we're reward junkies. It's like, okay, I want more of that. And so we have more of an incentive the next time the anxiety comes up to say, okay, I'm going to surrender again. Yeah, I need $10,000 in the next 3 days. I don't know how it's going to come, but I'm going to refuse to give up my personal peace in this moment. I am going to be happy. I'm going to trust that life is going to support me. And I'm just going to surrender to whatever comes to me is for my highest good. And that's what it's going to be. I'm not going to sacrifice my inner well-being. So, and then time after time after time, I've just watched life answer my concern. And so I'm at a point in my experience, there is absolutely zero reason to ever worry about money, let alone anything else. No, there's no reason. It's an impediment to, it's like a filter. And then it's like, if you continue to worry, you just have that in your creative soup. It's part of your ongoing creative process. So you have self-fulfilling prophecy. Is that making sense? Okay, so talk to me about that and I'll look at these comments.